Hello everybody, this is Havoc and welcome back to another Ancient Empires faction overview. It had been a little while, this week's been a little bit chaotic, but I do thank you for all the support that you have given the other two videos that I have put out this week. All that support means a lot to me and it means a lot to the developers of the mod. I know that gives them a lot of positive hope that you guys are super excited for the game and are willing to wait and not be too grumpy about the pushback date release. So I still don't have an official date. I'm not even going to speculate at this point. I'm just going to say not today, because I think today was officially the day that it was supposed to come out, but no worries at all. So I have also changed my plan on how I'm going to do these things. Basically what I'm going to run through now is I still have, I think, a solid 30 factions to go. Maybe not that much. I'm not quite sure. It's quite a bit. But what I'm going to do is, if you want to go to the Ancient Empires campaign video that shows off the different factions that you will start out as, that's what I'm going to go with for now. So I'm going to start with the very beginning and just run through. It doesn't matter how important you think they are or I think they are. We're just going to run down whatever I haven't done yet. We're going to look at all of those factions, and then from there on out we're simply just going to go in alphabetical order. I mean, that's just going to be the easiest instead of hopping around. It's probably what I should have done in the first place, but I know that the bigger factions kind of got a little better exposure and things of that nature, but we need to get through this so you guys can see everything that there is, and once that campaign starts, I really am not sure that I'm going to have time to be able to do these faction overviews. So, that being said, we're going to look at the Massylii today. And these are, have a lot of Numidian factions. They are pretty sweet, so let's go ahead and dive right into them. It looks like we start with Numidian picked infantry. We've seen these picked infantry before, not necessarily the Numidian versions, but the picked infantry in general. And they do seem pretty sweet. They have a charge value of 3, melee offense of 9, melee defense of 15 is pretty daggum high. Armor value at 11 is great, and a morale of 12 also works there. Resistant to heat, so we can see down here, which makes sense because they're in the desert, they can hide in forests, and they are disciplined. Next up, we have Numidian Noble Cab. These guys are actually pretty cool as well. Charge value of 8, melee offense of 7, melee defense of 9, armor value at 8, and a morale of 13. Means these guys are going to do pretty daggum well. They're also going to do well in the desert, so they'll tire less quickly in the desert. We have Minion Bodyguard Cab, and these guys are just souped up noble cavalry. Basically, they just see a large increase in melee defense, armor value, and morale. These guys' morale value of 15 is pretty epic. And then we have Massylii, the king of Numidia. This guy is a beast. He has a charge value of 8, a melee offense of 12, melee defense of 16, armor value of 11, and a morale of 17. Absolutely insane. Definitely will be using him in today's battle. Next up, we have quite a few options of spear infantry to choose from. Looks like we have Gaetulian warriors from the early era. Charge value of 3, melee offense of 9, melee defense of 9, armor value at 5, and a morale at 7. Means these guys are going to be kind of some shock spear troops. I haven't really seen that melee defense combo, especially in a tier 1 light spear infantry, and they do have some pretty good perks. They can climb fast, they are resistant to fatigue, they can hide in scrub and forest, and they are resistant to heat. Plus they have a ranged attack. Now we have Gaetulians from the late period, which are basically just going to see buffs in almost every area but armor. We have Numidian light armed foot. Now these guys seem almost like Skirmisher Cab, but these are being called light spear infantry, so it'll be interesting to see how the stats on the Skirmishers compare to these light guys. So they have an ammunition of 4, ranged offense of 9, missile range of 70, which is all reminiscence of the Skirmishers. Charge value of 4, melee offense of 9, melee defense of 12, and armor value of 5, and a morale of 8. So we're seeing some really high melee offensive defensive stats here for these light spear troops, which is really, really good if you think about it, in consideration that most spears don't have these kinds of stats, even kind of in the heavy spear industry. Numidian Spearmen, these guys are ridiculous. Charge value of 3, melee offense of 8, which is lower than their light armed foot counterparts, but they do see a massive increase in defense, melee defense, all the way up to 15. And armor value at 5 and morale at 8. So these guys, they're hard punching units, but they don't have a very high armor value. So any kind of troops that are good against armor, they're going to wreck them. And last but not least, we have Numidian Reformed Infantry. These guys are basically just going to see an increase in charge value, melee offense, and morale. But these guys are disciplined. They are expert at charge defense. They are resistant to heat as well, and a good defense versus cav. And also you might note how tiny, how much they don't cost. 140 all the way up to 244 for their spear infantry. Of course, we are looking at tier 1 across the board. Melee infantry, we've already seen these Numidian picked cav. They're tier 3 heavy infantry. And even then, they don't cost that much. 544 for someone of these stats is really not that bad. For bow infantry, we have Numidian archers. These guys have an ammunition of 23, a ranged offense of 2, missile range of 120, melee offense of 2, melee defense of 3, armor value at 5, and morale at 5. Means you do not want these guys to get into any kind of a melee battle. Slingers, ammunition of 30, ranged offense of 2, missile range of 240, offense of 3, defense of 7, armor at 5, and morale at 5. It's basically the same thing as the Numidian archers. They actually have a much higher defense, which is pretty standard, but you don't really want to get them into the melee incident. We have Gaetulian Javelin men set up, and here's what we're going to do. So we have 970, 289, 58, and then... Okay, so you do see a little bit better stats in the light armed foot, plus they only cost 150, these spear infantry. But basically the same stats. They are skirmishers. The Numidian light armed foot are just a little more heavily equipped. So we have skirmishers, as I said, who just see a pretty good offense-defense combo. So these guys will be worth it to put into the battle once they have thrown their ranged attack, as long as you can use them pretty effectively, and as long as they aren't engaging, like being in the front lines, they'd be pretty good swamping from behind. And then we have Numidian Javelin men, which actually see less stats in the offense and morale department. Next up, for melee cav, we have Numidian Noble Cav. Charge value of 8, melee offense of 7, melee defense of 9, armor value at 8, and morale at 13. Make them pretty solid guys. Gaetulian Noble Horse. Now where's... Nope, Minion Bodyguard Cab. So Gaetulian Noble Horse actually see... Yeah, they're a little bit more buffed. I think charge value of 8, melee offense of 7, defense of 11, armor value at 10, and morale at 12. Make them very, very nice melee cav. And then we have Minion Bodyguard Cab, which just see a little bit of increase in the defense, armor, and morale stats. We have a lot of skirmisher cav to look at today too, so that's pretty cool. Numidian cav in the early period, ranged offense, ammunition of 6, ranged offense of 9, missile range of 80, offense at 4, defense at 9, armor value at 5, and a morale of 8. Make them pretty decent light skirmisher cav units, and plus, of course, they're resistant to fatigue. They can hide in scrub and forest, which is interesting. They can fire while moving. There you have Parthian shot and resistant to heat. The Numidian cav of the late period just see a little bit more buff stats, as we typically see between the early and late. And then we have Gaetulian light horse, which are really kind of interesting units. They are light skirmisher cav, but they are definitely melee cav as well. So it's interesting to see those two come together. So they have an ammunition of 6, ranged offense of 9, missile range of 80, charge value at 6, melee offense of 5, melee defense of 7, armor value at 5, and morale at 8. It means they will basically be used how I would use the skirmishers. They are decent, and they would probably do decent in a head-on engagement, but they are much more preferable to flanking and doing places where they're a little more secure. And then you have the Numidian light horse, which just see padded stats in the charge value, offense, and defense sector. And then last but not least, we have North African elephants. These guys have a charge value of 19, melee offense of 13, melee defense of 8, and a morale of 10. I'll definitely throw one of these units in, especially considering that all of these other units, minus this melee cav, are extremely cheap. Alright guys, well that is the roster for the Massylii. You know the deal. I'll see you on the battlefield. Alright everybody, well welcome to the battlefield. I think we played on this before, but I'm not quite sure. It seems familiar anyways. But regardless, we are in the area of Carthage, which is who we are fighting against. I thought it'd be pretty relevant considering where the Massylii start, which is basically right next to Carthage, that we would play them. So we'll run through our battle comps per the usual standard, and then we'll get straight into it. So holding my front line, we have 3 units of Numidian Reformed Infantry. Say hi. Hi. And it looks like they're barefoot. Are they barefoot? I think they are. They're kind of sunk into the ground. Maybe it's a little sandy. Maybe. Make for some hard footing. But regardless, they do look pretty stinking cool. Behind them, I'm basically just holding my whole second line, I have Numidian picked infantry. I'm going to try and limit my infantry engagement. There has been kind of a new functionality for the enemy to use reserves. And so I'm wanting to try to limit how much people I have on the front line to see how well that mechanic works. But these guys look pretty sweet. Yeah, I like them. Nothing too fancy at the moment, but these aren't super civilized units, so it kind of makes sense, I guess. Or at least that's not what they seem like to me. We have Numidian light armed foot soldiers. Basically, I have 4 of these total, 2 on each side. Kind of use them as flanks. These guys, they look like skirmishers. I mean, they just really do. And that's part of the reason why I don't have skirmishers, is because I'm going to use these guys since they have so many of the same stats, but they're actually light foot that or light spear units, that I'm going to use them as skirmishers essentially and see how well that works for me. So we have 2 on each side of those guys, which is really cool. In the middle here we have a Massylii, king of Numidia. There he is. What's up, dude? What up? Yeah, he's pretty stoic right now. And then we have 6 cav total. We have 3 Gaetulian noble horse, which do look pretty cool. A lot of them have lion heads, man. There are a lot of dead lions out there, man. That is cool, though. It's cool to see a different variation of some cav, because we haven't really seen anything aside from your typical helmets. So it's cool to see those lion heads over there. And then we have Minion Bodyguard on the other side, and I think these guys are a little too good to be wearing the lion heads. Yes, but again, that whole zebra stripe with the armor is pretty clever, They look really good, though. These guys, you can tell that these are their specialty units and that they cost the most because they definitely look the best. And the last but not least, we have 2 units of North African elephants. That's a little awkward. So I kind of hope they see that. Maybe there's nothing they can really do about it. This guy, look at that. That's awesome. I'm going to take a snapshot of that. For sure. Good job. Good job, everyone. It's just funny to see little glitches like that. And I'm not blaming the dev team at all. It's just funny to see things of that nature. Maybe it'll change once we actually start. Okay, so that will be our compositions, guys. Now, we outnumber the Carthaginians by 48 men, but these guys have such strong troops, I think it'll actually be a pretty good challenge. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Get the advantage over there, see if we can't get some flanking maneuvers going on early into the battle. Let's get up just a little bit. Prefer them not to run, but it gets them there faster, which isn't always the best thing, but for me, that's definitely what I want to do. Gorgeous. I've also got the graphics overlay working, so now you can see what I see whenever I take those screenshots and I tell you that the overlay is on. You can now kind of see that, which is pretty cool. Yeah, this isn't... Okay, so apparently... There we go. Get behind him. We'll turn this off because it's still a little harder to see. Good for screenshots, that's about it. Why didn't you go into them? There we go. There we go. Yeah, we're going to have to flank them. Let's get out there. Go here. And we're getting pelted. Let's go ahead. Are these guys ever going to fire? You're going to have to suck it up and throw your pelums. There we go. And then spear wall. Ow, we're getting pummeled, man. But that was a nice charge. We're going to engage there. Actually, scoot back. Engage those guys. Bring these dudes right along. And then we're going to cut off this dude. Get back behind there. Sweet. Piece of cake, piece of pie. Get over there. Again, we're going to use these as pretty aggressive skirmishers, because that's basically what they do. I mean, that is kind of how they are. Which works. These African veterans are going down. And we'll go ahead and start getting some close-ups, just to see how well we're doing. Really holding that front line. Seeing a lot of good troops from the Carthaginians in this battle as well. These guys are really holding up the front line. Barefoot, man, that's just gutsy. It's just really gutsy to try and there we go. Attack them. What do we got over here? Did they rout? They did rout. Well, dang it. This might be a really quick battle. I didn't think it would be. I thought the Carthaginians would stand a chance. Oh, look at this. Okay. So we are seeing a little bit of a fight. Oh, man. That's alright. We'll use... I thought I had chosen a different war cry, or a different thing, but I hadn't in terms of my general special ability. No worries there. We're just going to go after all of the ranged units. Including their Skirmisher Cav. And then that'll pretty much be the end of the game. So many units. These guys start out with 300. Actually, I think I am on ultra settings, though. That would kind of make sense. This does seem like a very large battle in comparison. Those mercenary Ligurian warbands are pretty good. My picked infantry are holding the line. I don't know what it was about this specific unit, but he definitely just wasn't in the, didn't have the heart for it, I guess. We're going to tie up the general. Yeah, these spearmen are actually doing really good, which is really interesting considering that they are tier 1 spear infantry. I mean, these guys are going up against tier 2s and actually holding pretty well. We do have the brace spears, which gives us some pretty good bonuses. But I mean, overall, there we go. Other than that, they seem to be holding. Let's actually get these out of the way. Who are these? These are the picked infantry. We are losing that fight. Desperately. I didn't even realize it. So here. We will send in Our secret weapon. Where's our general? He's over here. We're going to have to swing him around. Here we go. Oh, look at that. That charge. That's really nice. Look at that charge. Oh, they're going to tear these spearmen up. Tear them up, boys. Tear them up. That was a terrible elephant sound. Absolutely awful. Oh, look at this. Oh, I expected a better charge than that. Regardless, though, they are wrecking those infantry, dude. Oh my word. Let's get a little bit of graphics overlay on. There we go. Oh no, he died. Yeah, look at all that dust. Attack. Attack, boys. Yeah, our elephants are dying. They did. What in the world? Oh, they're African veterans, that's why. Oh no. They have routed. We're going to move over here. We do have the advantage, but I don't know how long that advantage will last. If we don't do something pretty quick. Go there. You troops have come back. Thank you. Let's line up. So our Numidian reformed infantry really haven't done so bad. They are both wavering right now, but that's to be kind of expected. There you go. Give that good debuff to the troops. I guess that good buff, because this is a buff this time, not a debuff, and we'll actually plug in that hole once it comes through. Our Numidian picked infantry are probably scared of the elephants, but we are routing those African veterans. And then we're just going to come in from behind with that epic last charge. Charge into the backs, boys. It's hard to fight off that much. Yeah, there we go. I knew we would pretty much get victory as soon as that happened. Sweet. Okay, well, we'll end the battle. That was a decisive victory. Again, I kind of thought that they would fight harder, and they actually did pretty well. The Carthaginians did, all things considered. But yeah, these guys actually did very well. Massylii really surprised me. I mean, we don't have that great of troops. Our, of course, greatest thing was using horsemen, which I do believe I may start changing that up. I know this is custom battle, but since I'm starting to showcase the campaign factions, Petilius has told me several times that, yeah, you did good in this battle with these horsemen, but you're not going to have all those horsemen simply because of the population mechanic that they're putting in. Horsemen are going to be more of that noble elite class, and you're simply just not going to be able to have a whole lot of them. So I think I might kind of start reflecting battles, how accurately it would be on the campaign map. So I'll definitely reach out to Petilius and those guys and be like, hey, what in terms of heavy infantry, that kind of stuff, what would be reasonable to have on both sides? And then I'll make armies reflect that to give it kind of a more realistic sense of what you're going to face on the battlefield. But for now, we had a pretty decisive victory. So I hope you enjoyed the Massylii. It was a short battle, but it was still pretty good. And hey, we beat Carthage, which is always fun. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I will continue doing the faction overviews. It has just been kind of a crazy week with a lot of things unexpected that I had to do and needed to do both for the channel and otherwise. But I'm going to get back on track every single day. You will see a faction overview. Other than that, guys, this is Havoc, and I'm out of here. Peace!